Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for this Gateway Day of 4/22/22. How about that? I think that this is a powerful gateway that's opening today. The 22 year we're in already, we're already talking about the cosmic builder. 22 is a master number for the cosmic builder, and it's for profound soul level change. And so this is a year for that. It may be that the reason for the current guy's election was to not shake things up in the way that he was saying or the way his supporters thought would happen, but to shake things up in terms of our relationships with one another. It may appear that we have been even further divided, but what it's really done is given us a window into the effect of that. And if we're smart about it, we'll reject that whole scenario and understand that this is a time for great change. It's very profound, and that it's a time to come back together and heal as the earth, as humanity itself. Understanding that separation and division is ego made and not spirit made. That was never our reality here. But it got started, and unfortunately, that's where we are right now. And the guy in the Oval Office is so incompetent and so self-dealing that he doesn't have the ability to understand what he's even doing, I think. Or he's just so sadistic that he likes it. It's one of the two. There's no middle ground here with him, and or with any of them that are supporting him. So it's unfortunate. We have close to, what did my husband say, 44,825 deaths that he just saw on the news. So we're approaching 45,000 deaths, which will likely hit today. And he still doesn't understand what's going on. Or conversely, he does, and he likes it. So I don't know. I don't know what this is for him. Too many ideas out there, from frontotemporal dementia to drug abuse to malignant narcissism. I don't know. There's something wrong, though. We have to discuss the fact that in this country that there's something wrong here with this guy in some way, shape, or form. Whatever the etiology of it, really at this point doesn't matter. What matters is his effect on the lives of people in this country. So I hope that with this energy today, that those in Congress that have shirked their responsibilities here will step up to the plate and come together and say, we need to remove him now. Just remove him. Just do a 25th Amendment if you can, or go ahead and have the House do another quick impeachment, because there's plenty to impeach him on. The Senate Intel report just came out yesterday saying, yes, Russia did in fact meddle in our elections to help Donald Trump win. So there you have it. It happened. He's not there legitimately. So can we save the people yet? Can we do that yet? Well, we have the energy. This energetic gateway today says that we can. Now, whether or not we'll have the will to do it is another thing. But we have to save us now. The guy in the Oval Office isn't going to do it. He'd rather see us, I think, go the other way. That's what I think. But I could be wrong, It's just my opinion. But I'm a citizen of this country, so I can have one, right? Just like you can. So Juno's going to be leaving retrograde shortly, a couple days now. Pluto in a couple of days is also going to go into retrograde, though. Pluto's very transformative in its energies and in its effect. So either way, whether it's in retrograde or not, it's going to be transformative. But in this case, we need to allow things, and by things I mean our perceptions, to maybe break down a little in light of the truth of the matter that's now emerging. Well, it's been out forever, so I shouldn't say it's emerging. It's been out. That's why most of us didn't vote for him. So I don't know. This is why, folks, we knew this would happen. If something bad happened, we knew this would be what would take place. So that's why we didn't do it. So in any event, what we're seeing now is a restructuring of belief. Hopefully, if you're paying attention, if you're actually looking at what's going on around us. If you can't use the Pluto in retrograde energy to break all that down and restructure it in a better way, I don't know. I really don't know. Let's see. Most planets are in the 6th through 11th houses today. Most are in the 6th and 10th. So career, life path, routine, and health are issues today. Like we didn't already know that. Here in the moon has shifted. Everything's pretty much shifted. Maybe not so much in terms of the signs, but at least in terms of the houses. So moon in the 10th house Aries, we're focusing on safely networking with others and beginning new projects and opportunities. Now, that's this morning. At 12:36, though, it's going to move. At least my time here on the Pacific coast, Pacific Daylight Time, at 12:36, it moves into Taurus, where we're going to have to calm down a little bit, and patience and practicality are favored. So whatever energies you've been using to motivate, you're going to kind of want to focus that on routine and health right now. Let's see. Patience, practicality, and all of that with Taurus. But Taurus is also about routine and about health and plodding along and sometimes stubbornness and things like that. So moon conjunct the sun, you're going to feel loved and supported by others, and help is available if you reach out and ask. But there's a little semi-square with Venus where you might want to show restraint if conflict or tension arises. But that may, and that's actually after the moon moves into Taurus, because I did this reading for that time. Since it was going to do it so soon in the day, I thought, well, let's just go ahead and do it for that time. So the reading is actually for 12:36 when it moves into Taurus. Now, the correspondences and astrological information I'll put up on the blog, though, today. Those are not good. Those will still be for noon, but I'll mention that it moves into Taurus. I'll do the same thing there that I'm doing here and let you know that there's a transitory type of experience happening today where we have a bunch of energy to do things, and then we're going to maybe get a little bit more focused into something more practical. So it'll dovetail, essentially, in the afternoon. Let's see. Moon square Saturn. Delays might occur, but they're transitory. So just kind of roll with the punches if something isn't happening the way you want it to. We're experiencing the same thing with our tractor work. Things didn't get taken up to the other shop where they have their machine shop when they were supposed to. We dropped them off Saturday, found out yesterday they weren't there. Well, come to find out, they went up on Monday and they actually got there, but no one had brought it back to the guy. So, but I guess he has it now, so everything's fine, or it better be. They better not have lied to us, because that's not going to be good for him if it did. Those are actually pieces that go to the block, the engine block itself, and you really cannot buy them separately. Not anymore. It's a 1939 tractor, and all the lots of parts are available. We could not been able to locate those in case they lost them. So somebody would have been buying us a block, So anyway, just understand that delays can occur right now, but it's just a function of the moment, function of the situation. So don't stress too much about it. The sun's in the 10th house Taurus. Just take a personal day to deal with any issues that need dealing with. The lives are changing right now, and so we need to figure that whole structure out. It could be temporary, or it could be something for maybe the next couple of years, where we need to curtail our behavior a little bit until we have more knowledge and understanding and therapeutics and a vaccine for the virus. I mean, that could theoretically happen. I don't know that it will, but we just need to be prepared. They're talking about an even greater wave in the fall. So I think that it makes sense to stay in the hunkered down mindset, even if we have some lifting of restrictions. I think we need to keep that mindset going for at least probably another year and a half, just so we're sure we're beyond this and we can manage whatever happens after that. I think that makes sense. Obviously, we may be a little more savvy about it in the fall because we've, gotten through the difficult moments now. So that's likely going to be the case, but it doesn't mean that it won't be difficult, especially when the snow hits. I don't know. We were talking about that. Hopefully the tractor will indeed be running, but we also have a snow blower. So I don't know. We have an 800-foot driveway, so it's not fun in the summertime here or in the wintertime here. Mercury, ninth house Aries, we're going to be expanding learning and knowledge with a focus on the spiritual aspects of stuff right now. And I think that that just happens naturally whenever you're in some kind of a difficult situation. You start reflecting spiritually about things. It's just where we gravitate. Soul comes in and tries to make things better, I think. Venus, 11th house Gemini, we're going to network safely with others. And again, Mars, 7th house Aquarius, patience involving partnership issues. Again, remember the moon. Oh, where was it? Oh, I need to go up further. Moon, semi-square Venus. It could just be a little iffy right now, but just understand it's probably just a function of the moment. So let it pass. Don't really rise to it and get into it with anybody. Just give them, if you can safely give them a hug because you're with them, you're living with them, that's fine. Otherwise, do something like that, or or say virtual hugs, and get through it. So Jupiter, sixth house Capricorn. Again, here we have sixth house influence. In Capricorn, we're slowing down. It's patience, diligence. But right now, we're going to be talking about changes in lifestyle, and we're talking about maybe breaking old habits, finding some benefit with the current life structure, trying to make something out of it. Because again, we're likely going to go into again in the fall and winter. So, and if we don't, yay! I mean, I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. But if past is prologue with illnesses like this, and is this anything we've ever had before? I don't know. It's weird. And so the damage after the after effect is awful, I guess, or they're thinking that it's going to be. Some of the things people are saying are just awful. So basically, allow some I don't know. Conjunct Pluto between Pluto and Jupiter, we have the resolve to do anything we want to right now. The same within the fall. So what you're doing now, get it somewhat perfected so that it can be used again, in other words. So I don't know, maybe innovate and, find some great life hacks and all of that with an eye to the fall in case this happens again. Jupiter conjunct Pluto, I already said that one. Saturn, sixth house Aquarius, again, sixth house, pay attention to routine and health today. Think outside the box with Aquarius, but don't over focus. That's another thing that can happen, and you get a little bit too, out there in left field about something or other. Let's see, in conjunct the North Node, you might be forced to change life direction now, or maybe it's just your perceptions surrounding your life directions. Maybe who you associate with, all of that. Maybe I understand a lot of political parties, people are changing from Republican either to Democrat or to independent. Some are going to no party affiliation, but they're leaving the Republican Party, which is probably a wise choice at this point because we're not really sure who they are anymore. The Republicans now are nothing like what they were when my parents were Republicans. I never was, but my parents were, and their friends were, and none of them acted the way these people act now. I'll just tell you that I'm 62, and I realized that was a long time ago when I was growing up, but an awful lot has taken place if this is where we are now. So lots of changes need to take place still. And in this this 4-22-22 gateway, I think that we can do that. Again, Neptune, 8th house Pisces, life's path or direction's been interrupted. This was from yesterday. I had confidence over the futures less, but right now in the 8th house, any joint endeavors might be risky right now. Investments, things like that. Usually it's talking about that, but even if it's just, obviously working together with someone, if you can do it from a distance and you can do it successfully, have it some joint venture or something, that's great. But right now there's a tremendous amount of risk. You don't know if either one of you are going to survive this. And so don't do anything like that right now. Wait is what astrologically it's suggesting here. Just wait a little bit, wait for things to settle down, and then maybe. So check in with all your investments right now. Make sure everything is going okay. If it's not, and you can safely make changes, then do so. But if not, I don't know. Get with your advisor and see what they say, obviously over the telephone or Skyping or whatever. and figure out, they never want you to do anything, obviously. When we had the crash in 2001, oh no, don't touch anything, leave it there. Why? So I'm watching it all go away, what little we had, you know? So maybe checking in with your advisor isn't the person you need to talk to. I don't know. Talk to your spouse, figure it out, do what's best for the two of you and for your family, not for your advisor. So I don't know. Check in with them though. If you have a good relationship and you trust them and they don't do that to you, then talk to them and see what they think. They could have ideas of maybe sheltering it some other way instead of cashing out, but maybe you need to cash out right now because you don't have any funds. Some people are having to do that. So again, try to get as much information though that you can before you go and do something like that. So, okay, that's enough with the astrology. But there were just a bunch of changes in the house signs, and I the more I hear about what's happening in the fall, or what they think could happen in the fall. The head of the CDC, I'm not a real fan of that guy, but that's what he's saying, and others are saying it too that I trust. So. I just wanted to take a look at that when I saw all of the 6th house activity and, the 10th house activity. Obviously, all of this is what's happening for everybody now. Really, no matter what your life structure is, whether you're, working or you're retired like we are, it doesn't matter. Everything is changing right now, and how we do things and how we're going to do things for the foreseeable future is going to impact us for some time to come. And if we can just come together in unity on this, it's going to get through. We're going to get through it a lot quicker. But oh no, we have people that are viewing this as personal sovereignty issues, which is stupid. And I'm just going to say that it's just stupid. Knock it off. Just knock it off. It's not time for that right now. We can do that later if you want, but not now, not today, not during a pandemic. I don't know what it is with people. I really don't. But this is a time for coming together. It's a 22 year. It's time to come together and understand that any division has been manufactured and it's an illusion. And we need to stop it. We don't have any time left to play around anymore. So anyway, let's do our cards, and we'll take our first 3. We'll see what they are. If this is your first time here, welcome. I do the astrology first, and then I get into the tarot and the runes. I take the 13th card each time for randomness sake, so that's why I'm counting. No, I'm not counting cards, but but that's why I just do it for randomness sake. So it's completely random. So I'm not influencing it. The order isn't influencing it. Nothing is. Just I'm counting it, and there it is. So. I don't know why I started doing that, but that's how I did when I started this. When I do my regular readings, I'm going to do a 6-card Thoth reading. Actually, I have it all laid out over here, and I'm going to do that on Patreon. So look for that over there if you want to follow me over there. It is a paid one, but it's donation for me anyway. I didn't set up tiers. So anyhow, it's going to be over there today, probably sometime, maybe tomorrow. I'll see how my day goes. But those I just lay out. I don't randomly take them. I might take, I might take the outcome card randomly. I might do that. I count 13 for that one sometimes. But this is the Sun, the 19th card of the Major Arcana. Success, new beginnings, rebirth. On this 4/22/22 gateway of experience and expression. 4 is about structure and foundation. We've got 2 22s, and of course if you were to add them together and reduce them to a single digit, which you don't, not on a 22 or an 11 or a 33, you don't. You leave them like that because they're powerful numbers, they're master numbers. 33 is for Christ consciousness, and 11 is illumination and awakening. So, you want to leave them alone, but otherwise, we're talking about restructuring everything, and if you look at just the 2, you're looking at relationships, and healing the relationships, the greater humanity relationships. In other words, seeing each other as the other side of self instead of the other. Page of Cups. Pages are about messages and something new on the horizon, similar to the Aces, similar to the Fool in that regard, in that it's undeveloped potential, and we have new emotional presence here. It could have to do with empathy and compassion. It's hard to realign with people that think differently than you in such a profound way. But it's something that's going to happen if we expect to get through all of this with any semblance of any kind of order afterwards. We have to understand that it's on us together, and to live through this and to support one another through it, not to stand, this far away from a nurse who's standing there quietly protesting in a mask, while you all are out there not social distancing and complaining because you can't get a haircut. All right. If you have real concerns, then say them, put them on your signs. I need to work because I don't have any unemployment. I need put real concerns on there, not that you need a haircut or that you need to go buy paint. How ridiculous. Go stand in front of the mirror with some scissors and cut your hair, or leave it alone. If you've dyed your hair and it's growing out, so what? You're not the only one that's happening to. Stop dyeing your hair. It's not healthy. So, come on. Do it if it so let's work with the page energy and find some new emotional resonance. Help one another. Don't hurt one another by your behavior. And for the love of all that is holy, don't have some biker looking dude standing this far from a nurse in a way that's clearly meant to intimidate her. Was he saying, you couldn't, the camera got him from the back. Was he saying things to her, or was he just standing there staring at her? She's like this high to this high for him. What is it with men? Why do they have to be so toxic? It's ridiculous. She wasn't going up to any of them. She was standing there out front of where she works. And he came to her. Yeah, this is what we need. 3 of Cups. All right. We're going to put Sun in the middle. We're going to use that as a significator for the reading. Let's take a look at it. Here we have the child, symbolizing purity and rebirth. On a white horse, again, symbolizing purity and rebirth. We have the red flag there waving. Victory, success. We have the sun shining above the sunflowers there, growing, looks like behind the rock wall. I love rock walls, always have. Especially if they have things growing on them. It's so very cool. Our rock walls are all made of, they're not walls like this, they're all made of volcanic rock piled up. Any kinds of walls we have, or any kind of thing like, we've done it around, garden beds and things like that. I've seen some people around here that have, from probably years and years ago, they've taken volcanic rock and they've mortared it together. And one person had an old, like an outbuilding. And it was just so very cool. And I said to my husband when we drove by it, God, could we do that? Could we build a house with it? That'd be really cool. Be the Flintstones. But we're talking on one energy of new beginnings and wholeness and unity. And I think it's perfect for this 20. It'd be better if it was the 22nd card, but no, that's Eon or Rebirth, Judgment. Is it Judgment? Yeah, no, that's the 20th. So there's no 22nd card. But if it were, it'd be really cool if it was a 22. But it's but Judgment is the 20th card. So I don't care for that name though. We had it the other day, and I actually prefer Eon or Rebirth. Some of the non-traditional decks have changed the name. Crowley changed it to Eon. Druidcraft changed it to Rebirth. But you could consider maybe, of course, you could consider the Fool. If you don't consider it as card 0, you could, which you should. But if you didn't, you could consider it as card 22. And that would be complete rebirth, wouldn't it? Of jumping in again into form. So if you thought about it that way, I don't know when they decided where to put the Fool. I've read in old grimoires that for some it was just sort of an outlier. At least that's what it seemed to be saying. But some put it actually at the end, and I thought that, well, that's interesting. So are you going from 1 to 0? And it's like, didn't seem so. It seemed like it was going to be 22. But basically, when the Fool comes in, just like with the Page as the first card of the court, we're looking at new beginnings. We're looking at undeveloped potential. In here, it's the undeveloped potential surrounding our emotions. So perhaps, again, with the victory, with the new day, with the new unity, so comes compassion. And compassion for others at a time when it seems like it's really on the side of life or death. Because when you're willing, my husband just told me before I started this that was it North Carolina? They're going to reopen, and they were discussing reopening schools. And it seemed like the governor wanted to, and I'm going to have to go and check this. But then he came back and said, no, they're not going to, that they heard from the superintendent. So either the superintendent convinced the governor to knock this crap off or something. But schools shouldn't go back into session at least until September, and maybe not even then. But again, this is going to, upset the structure of our lives. And again, we've got Pluto going into retrograde here in a couple of days, and it's going to stay there till October 4th. So we're going to see a lot of transformation, powerful transformation between now and then, predicated by this 4/22/22 gateway opening. And with luck, with intention, we can come back together, align mind, body, spirit, and come back together in love and harmony with one another, and rebuild the structure of our lives, rebuild the foundation of our lives. And the foundation of our lives is not where we live or where we work or anything like that. It's how we relate to one another. That is the structure of our lives. Because from that, everything else flows. Not the job, not the house, not where you live, not who your friends are, not what family you were born in, but how well you can get along with others now. That's what it's really about. That's what it's always been about. How do you see your neighbor? How do you see that other person, your coworker? Are they the other side of self, or are they your enemy? Are they the other? Where is your focus? Do you live in separation and division with other people? Are you willing to have conflict, extreme conflict? Because let's face it, just that standoff between that biker-looking dude and that nurse, that unfortunately tells the tale. We used to work on Harleys, and I'll tell you, we had a customer who I saw a picture of this on Facebook. It's been a few years back, and he was standing outside a locked entrance door to Greg Walden's office. And Greg Walden is our congressman. He's a Republican. He's not running again. And so now there's a couple of them that are running that I'm just like, oh my God, no. And could we please change to a Democrat, or at least an independent? Could we get somebody other than a Republican over here? So anyway, this guy in full biker attire, right? Right. And he's standing there guarding the door. And guess what he's guarding it from? Little old liberal ladies with Starbucks coffee signs protesting one thing or another. They wanted to give a letter to Walden. They wanted to take it in and hand it to the secretary there, or the office person there. They wanted to do that, well, I don't know. I'm sure they hire people. I'm sure it's not volunteer. So I'm sure it's a paid staff person. They wouldn't have let them in. These people were constituents. Yes, they're Democrats. So what? They're constituents. He's their congressman. Whether he likes it or not, whether we like it or not, he's our congressman. So open the door. Take the paper. Give it to him. But no, instead, you've got this guy out there berating them, or if he's not doing that, he's just standing there menacingly. This is my point. If we can't fix the relationships, if we can't get that on the path of healing to where we are living in full reciprocity, that's another thing the 22 says, full reciprocity with one another. Being willing to go the extra mile if needed, to preserve life, to preserve integrity, to preserve the relationship. Okay? That's what we're talking about here. With the sun shining again and the light returning, the light of spirit informing everything, letting go of ego, focusing solely on spirit. And if ego wants to catch up, it's going to have to transmute itself into spirit, right? Right? So, my room bag's over there. I clear things off here when I start to do my writing. So, I start throwing things everywhere. But let's see what the rune has to say. It'd be great if it was Ingu's, the 22nd rune. I'm really fixated on that number today. So it's almost like I want to shift the Fool from card 0 to card 22. I really do. I think it would be perfect, at least for today. Well, we have Kenaz. Kenaz, is it 6th or 7th? I think it's his 6th. Got a lot of 6th energy right now with things being in the 6th house and talking about, routine and health and practical matters and all of that. We need a little bit of enlightenment from spirit. Kenaz is the higher self rune. 6. The 6. The numerology of 6 also includes higher self. It includes benevolence. Also, 8 includes benevolence, but harmony with others, harmony within. But moving forward in shared purpose is the 6. A new journey together is the 6. But we take it in spirit. In full awareness of who we are to one another, of who we are as source presence manifested into form. This is not something we work our way back to. This is something we simply turn our awareness to and know. You don't need to figure out that you're spirit. You are. We are everywhere. We are everywhere at once. We are in different lifetimes. We are in different soul expressions. But make no mistake about it, these are just expressions. The bodies are just vehicles. This whole world is just a vehicle with which to learn and to add more experience to the collective awareness of source. So, kind of, well, how did you do it? Well, I did it this way. Well, how did you do it? I did it that way, And what'd you learn? And then when you're done and you go back and you rest with your oversoul, you look at things and you say, okay, what do I want to do now? Do I want to go back into this reincarnation process, or since we're in the time of ascension right now, we can break out of that, how about we maybe choose something else and stop coming back to this type of 3D experience? We don't need it. We're transitioning into 5th. That's where we need to be in terms of awareness, but it takes understanding who we are as spirit, as soul, and that there they are, and that the body is just an illusion. It's temporary. I mean, eventually the body dies, doesn't it? There's no permanence to that. However, the soul doesn't. The soul's always here. It's what drives it. In fact, the body wouldn't even be alive if there wasn't a soul attached to it. It's kind of an interesting way to look at it, though, I think, don't you think? Well, we have Karser for today's geomancy rune. Yes, we are imprisoned a while longer, staying safe at home. The opposite of Karser is conjunctio, or joining, but here we need to do that from a distance. That's Karser. I'll show you what conjunctio looks like. It's complement or opposite. There's actually only 8 geomancy runes, and it's 16 because of their complements or their opposites. But you can see here, joining together with conjunctio over there on the side. Carcers, though, is about self-imprisonment. I mean, it could be imprisonment by others, but right now, it's if you think of what a prison looks like, you have cells, right? So you have a lot of people there. So in a sense, they're in a unified setting, all right? But they're apart from one another because they're in jail, right? They're in prison. So there's the sense of being, apart and together. And that's what, on a holistic sense, what carcer and conjunctio are really describing. Now, as far as the self-imprisonment goes, we can look at that a couple of different ways. We can look at it in terms of the stay-at-home order that we're under now, trying to self-isolate so we can contain the virus. We can think of that, though, in terms of doing it together. So, if we're self-isolating in all our homes and everything, that could be, carcer, right? Now, here's the other one. I need a drink of tea for this. Here's the other one. Sometimes self-imprisonment is what we do to our own self in terms of our perceptions, how we see the world. Again, we have been in this false sense of division, this lack of unity, which just creates lack. That's all it creates. For so long now, we have misinterpreted, because of outside influence, what we are to one another for so long now, that it's within our cultural memory. It could be within it's also within our Akashic memory. And it's why some people find it easy to fall in line with such. Okay? It's a race memory. And I don't mean racial memory. I mean a human race memory. The root races, when they were first established here on Earth. There was initially, if there was any slavery of sorts going on, depending who was influencing, there might have been some slavery aspects. From that, it got into the DNA in terms of our memory, because that's what DNA is. It includes memory of all of our experiences. Some of it's not turned on, most of it's not turned on. We think of it as junk, but it's not. It's where the rest of us is. And once it's all turned on, then we are going to ascend at will. We're going to leave the body at will, and or take the body with us, whatever it is, right? As we, transcend through types of spiritual portals into new experiences. So whenever it happened that it became acceptable for us to be lesser than someone else, which isn't in truth. We're all one. We're all the same. We're all the same energy. Individuated when we get into form or when we're out doing our little soul expressions, but it's still part of the collective. And that's what we have to understand. So we can struggle against that and have these weird divisions between us that could cost people their lives when people don't self-isolate. When they get out there together, you see these pastors, a couple of them, I guess, have either contracted it. I know at least one has died, maybe two. All these people that are out there being boisterous and bellicose about, I'm not going to stay home, and this is a deep state plot. No, it isn't. And you know what? Even if it is, stay home. Survive them. Why would you ever want to do anything that didn't survive those people? Right? So you hunker down. You give them what you think they want, while all the time waiting and figuring it out. If that's what it is, we're going to know. But for now, for the love of all that is holy, for the love of the goddess, for the love of all of us, please stay home. Please don't go out unless you have to. And if you do, go out protected. If you're going to open your business, if your business is currently open, please have your employees wear gloves. Please. The social distancing part, the 6 foot, is not going to be enough if they sneeze on someone. It travels further than that. You can be asymptomatic and contagious as all get out. Why ever would you want to risk your livelihood by having customers come in without masks and gloves and having your staff interact with them without masks and gloves? And somehow or another, not Betsy DeVos, but why do I get those two people confused? Are they the same woman, Dr. Birx? I mean, energetically, I think they must be. That was an interesting thing to call her, Dr. DeVos. Well, Dr. Birx, seems evidently decided that, oh, sure, find some creative way to cut hair, find some creative way to do tattoos. Because what is it? North Carolina's going to open them. How do you do that? How do you do that? I've never had a tattoo, but I've watched it. I know how it happens. How do you do that? I guess some people just don't believe this is even happening. Tell that to the people who have died. Tell that to their families who can't be with them when they die. They're using Zoom now and iPads, so families can talk to their loved ones before this happens, before they ventilate them, put them on a ventilator and intubate them. This is where we are. So let this gateway today open to compassion and empathy and love and unity and moving forward in shared purpose. We have to. And that's going to become painfully apparent before too much longer. So before that happens, shift it into something better, shift it into a better outcome. Regrettably, we have the government we have, and they've failed us. He has prevented supplies from getting where they need to go to save first responders. It's like he's that biker dude in front of in the standoff with the nurse. We can't afford that. We can't be that. We're more than that. And it's high time we knew it. So in any event, come back tomorrow. I think that's it. We've done enough damage for one day. And stay safe, stay home, stay alive, stay in our lives, because we need everyone, no matter who you are. Come back to the family. It's where we should have always been. So check out the blog. Check out, this is going to go up on the blog here after I look at it, and then I'll post it. By that time, I'll have the correspondences done and up. And so check all that out. I'll do a little checking in video to alert everybody to when that happens, and come back tomorrow. I did a little piece on Medium yesterday. Oh, heck, what was it about? Oh, well, it was about our time out on the weekend when we went out and about. I think I called it Living Life 2 weeks at a time or something. Anyway, look for that over there on Medium. The Toth Tarot, or Toth Tarot, however you want to pronounce it. I've always said Toth. Some people say Toth. I don't know. I guess we'd have to ask him. But anyway, that's going to go up on Patreon probably today. So check that out. If you want to support me over there, that'd be cool. It's just something to help offset some of my blog costs, because there are some. And and when you don't work, it's you don't have any income other than your retirement money, and that's it. And so, it'd be nice to be able to offset some of it. But so that's why I'm doing that. And that's why I've got, ads now up on the blog, which I never did in the beginning. It was years before I did that. But I'm doing that now. So anyway, in any event, come back tomorrow, click subscribe. I'd love you to do that, and have a wonderful day. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.